over to John for a demonstration of an example application that the Trust Over IP Foundation seeks to enable.
Great, thanks, Scott. I don't think it needs too much introduction. This is just an example and of what might be possible, and I'm gonna do my best to play this here. Here we go. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the launch of the Trust Over IP Foundation. My name is John Jordan, and I am the Executive Director of the Digital Trust Service for the Government of British Columbia, a province in Canada. The mission of this new foundation is to simplify and standardize how trust is established online so that everyone can feel safe, secure, and private in all of our digital interactions, whether they be individuals, businesses, governments, or anything in the Internet of Things. Or put more simply, we aim to close the trust gap of the Internet. To help show the ease and power of a trust-enabled Internet, let's take a look at a concept prototype put together by a number of the members of the Trust Over IP Foundation. Together, let's use this concept prototype to explore this emerging approach to closing the trust gap. But first, let's visit how these kinds of tasks are accomplished today. Typically, when we go to a facility with a controlled entry, such as an office building, government service counter, or long-term care facility, we might see a logbook, or we might have our fistful of cards. Additionally, the front desk clerk may ask to see some form of identification card, which they may quickly glance at before waving us into the facility. These approaches are often siloed, proprietary, and often lack any form of assurance about the person attempting to gain entry. For example, it may not confirm I am the authorized essential worker as determined by my employer. What if we had a different way? What if our essential worker, Michelle, could have her phone with a set of digital cards issued specifically to her by her employer? What if she could use these digital cards to prove she was specifically authorized to provide her essential service at a specific customer facility? And what if the manager of the customer facility could have had the assurance that all of this was true when Michelle arrives at their facility and presents her cards? It might look something like this. Michelle would walk up to a wall with a QR code on it, safe distance from many humans, and scan it. This QR code is asking her to prove that she's an essential worker for this location. She can view this request and see that only the specific data she needs to prove to this location is being asked for. She then agrees to share this information, which is sent via a cryptographic package to the verifier. And the verifier, perhaps an entry clerk, is able to review the claims, see that they're proven cryptographically, and allow entry. Now we've seen Michelle easily and confidently gain entry to her customer's facility. And we've seen how the facility need only ask for the necessary data to ensure they are letting the right people in. Let's take a look at how Martin, the facility manager, can set up these entry points using safe entry QR codes. To do that, we'll use a concept prototype we call Safe Entry BC. This is a service that could be offered to people who would like to request specific information from people before they can pass through a controlled point. The options here are many: buildings, residences, First Nations territories, remote work camps, long-term care facilities, and so on. Service such as Safe Entry BC might offer the user the opportunity to manage their points of entry. They could do this through a simple form, identifying their location, and identifying if it should be publicly discoverable, maybe so people can determine if their criteria are satisfied before they make their trip, and the user can select their various entry requirements. Now that Martin has successfully created his QR code, let's take a look at Mary. Mary is a small business owner that delivers cleaning services and can register her business as an essential service provider. To do this, Mary may use a service such as this concept service called BC Essential Service Gateway. Using this service, Mary can manage the authorization of employees performing services for her customers through the use of digital credentials. For brevity, we will assume Mary has done this, and we'll move back to Michelle picking up her essential worker credentials. Michelle, having received her invitation from Mary, will click on the Accept Invitation link, which takes her to the BC Essential Services Gateway. We're not showing it here, but Michelle would have proven who she is using her government-issued identity attributes. Michelle, now on her personal profile page for her place of work, is able to pick up several secure, portable, essential service digital credentials. She will use these credentials to provide proof to her customer that she is authorized to deliver a service in question. This proof not only demonstrates she is an essential worker, but in fact the essential worker that Mary has assigned to provide services to a specific customer's long-term care facility. Michelle is able to review the data that she will pick up in her credential, and using her digital wallet, she's able to scan a code that will allow her to create a secure connection to this service and receive the credential into her digital wallet. She accepts the connection and she waits for the credential offer to be received by her digital wallet. Upon receiving this offer, she can review the credential data and accept it into her wallet. She is now ready to enter the long-term care facility, having been approved by her employer. That concludes the demonstration. In this short time, we have seen an example of how 3 different people were able to go about their business tasks and do this in a way that is both familiar and straightforward. There were no technical integrations between these services. They used standards and protocols that enable trust over IP-based relationships to be developed. The parties did have business agreements in place, not only for the service delivery, but also to understand what kinds of credentials they agreed to use in order to allow their people to do business together. This is the critical role of the governance stack. What we just saw made use of open standards and open source software originating from communities, such as those at Hyperledger, the Decentralized Identity Foundation, the OpenID Foundation, and the W3C, as well as other open technologies which we use to develop web applications. In fact, we see a mutually supportive relationship between the Trust Over IP Foundation and the many important standards bodies and open source communities we are fortunate to stand alongside with. We see that the unique focus on the importance of governance to trust communities and that the foundation brings to the world strongly complements the activities of these technology communities. We look forward to collaborating with all these communities as we move forward. I hope you've enjoyed this brief glimpse into the possibilities of a trust over IP-enabled internet. We see this as the way we can come together to build a safe, privacy-respecting, and personal control-enhancing internet. One where our citizens, customers, friends, and family can work, live, and play with the same kinds of protections they expect in their in-person lives. A future where our digital lives are lived as people, not users.
John, thank you very much for that demo. I know it's the tip of the iceberg for all of the applications of trust over IP that we will see in the next few years, but it helps to see one of the use cases where digital credentials are being put to use right now.